a perfect outcome to all things is assured. Yeah, a perfect outcome to all things is assured. Yeah, I'm getting stronger every day because my faith leads the way. A perfect outcome to all things is assured. In every situation, there's a blessing somewhere. Come gather, brothers and sisters, and we'll see that it is there. Ooh, I need you. You need me. Yes, you do. And that's how our happiness is guaranteed. Take it, boys.
And now, in all your doings, be you blessed. Through you is ushered in a world unseen, unheard, yet truly there. Holy are you, and in your light, the world reflects your holiness. For you are not alone and friendless. I give thanks for you and join your efforts on behalf of God, knowing that they are on my behalf as well, and for all those who walk to God with us.
Sing it with me. A perfect outcome to all things is assured. A perfect outcome to all things is assured. I'm getting stronger every day because my faith leads the way. A perfect outcome to all things is assured. A perfect outcome to all things, yeah, is assured.
Wee doggy!
Trust all the light that is one with me, and I trust all the light that is one with me. Om toddy toot it so hot. 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 I am not my body. I am free. I am the beingness of eternity. I am not my Ture soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture soha. So let's breathe and create our circle of love. Tonight we gather again to co-create together this circle of unconditional love where everything that we like and everything that we do not like is included. And so we bring our day here right now into this circle of love. And we bring everything that we like and everything that we don't like about our day into this circle, knowing that with the insight and the help from A Course in Miracles and each other and the inner guide, the inner Waheguru in each one of us will enlighten us as to what our next steps are. It is so wonderful, this life of discovery and learning from all that occurs. May tonight we say what we need to say and hear what we need to hear. Blessed be, and so it is.
Because this is A Course in Miracles. It's a required course. Only the time, you hear that? Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish a curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The course doesn't aim at teaching the meaning of love. That's beyond what can be taught. The course does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. Therefore, this course can be simply summed up in this way. I want to say these things with me. Number one, nothing real can be threatened. Like number two, nothing unreal exists. Number three, herein lies the peace of God. Reality, baby, give me reality. Right?
Alicia would like to say something. Go ahead, Alicia.
My cat did that. Sorry.
It happened. Cats are who they are are never anything other than they are. I think that's one of the reasons why I really love cats. Because you're only ever getting the cat. Right. You're not getting a cat who's trying to get you to like them. Don't you love that? Don't you love that? And that's kind of great. A lot of what we do around the course, do with the Course in Miracles. So this lesson she calls the key, and so we did Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. That is a mantra to Tara, green Tara and red Tara. There's all these Taras. So Tara is another bodhisattva image. And one of the ways you can look at this whole chapter is one of a bodhisattva. This whole chapter is on intimacy. And without irony, the Course calls is this the title of this whole chapter is. You want to tell them what this whole chapter is called?
The goal of specialness.
I know.
And
The
today's
goal of
lesson is
specialness.
section 3, the treachery of specialness.
This treachery of specialness. Oh no, specialist! My God, there's so much in the Course in Miracles about specialists. The entire chapter is devoted to how the Course in Miracles uses the word special.
Yeah.
And the way I use the word special is the way the Course in Miracles use it, but the way I approach it and the way I would suggest or give you a way to open this door to unraveling this yarn ball that might be a yarn ball of specialist for you with the Course in Miracles is to think of it as intimacy. Intimacy. You are close and understand very well things that you like and things that you don't like. Intimacy doesn't have anything to do with whether you like or not like it. It has everything to do with familiarity.
Okay.
Right? And things that are really intimate to you are also, you can have the quality of familiar. So how we use what is familiar to us, how do we use what is intimate to us? And like if you were a plant, or if you were a permaculture, they'd call this zone 1. What are you going to be in all the time? Where do you operate in? Where do you get up in? Where's your bed and where's your kitchen? This is like where you live in. This is a lot of where each of us live and breathe in these intimate relationships. Sometimes we have intimate relationships with our partners and our families. We have intimate work relationships. Anybody have a work wife or a work husband? You hear these terms all the time because at some level we kind of understand the intimacy that is going on between us. We are relying on each other. And we even begin to have unspoken languages and terms and things like that. Those are specialties, right? Do you have inside jokes with your family? Do you have inside jokes at work? Right? Have inside jokes with a certain culture that you participate in? You begin to understand that what the Course is using for specialness. We can understand our unity through specialness. Oh my God, I'm just so much like everybody else doing everything. Wow, this is so cool and wonderful. Or you can say, I'm different, I'm special. I do it this way and you do it that way. You see,
never the twain shall meet.
Never the twain shall meet. And we're going to duke it out to see which one's best. I mean, it gets there. So that's why the Course uses the metaphor of a key. A key that actually we have placed in others. Because our oneness, we placed our identity outside of ourselves. And the key is the giving it back to us. Others give us back the identity that we threw away. Others love us for what we don't see in ourselves. Others love us before we can love ourselves and therefore take on full membership in God. Full membership in
12-step, they say.
Go ahead, Ramsey. Go ahead.
In 12-step, there is a profound slogan that applied to me.
What's that?
Let them love you till you love yourself. Let them have faith in you till you have faith in yourself.
Yes.
Like 17 years ago, when I came to the 12th step, I didn't know that I didn't love myself. And they loved me, and they loved me. They accepted me. They gave me warmth, kindness, and I started being receptive to that.
Changed your life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The community you had to change your perception about who you were based on the feedback you were getting from who you were hanging around with all the time, who you were being
Yeah.
intimate with,
Oh.
who you were sharing your stories with, who you were sharing your time with, who were you giving your attention to. That's what this is. So the course begins to talk about our relationships and the institutions and ways that we as human beings form relationships. We form relationships in basically three ways, or we have basically three kinds of relationships in the Course of Miracles. We have this intimate relationship. We have relationships with people that are going to pass through our lives, be around for a little while and then move through. Right, our college friends, or sometimes family members, or work life people that move in, that say are real important for a little while and move on. That's the second time. And the third person are really people that may pretty much are strangers. Will remain strangers to us our whole entire lives. And if we're all one, how do we relate and work inside of those relationships to fully express and inhabit the love of God, so that we are participating with reality and not illusion, which is suffering for ourselves and others. That's why we sang Om Tari Tu Tari Tari Soha, because we're all trying to be bodhisattvas, right? I'm trying to wake up so I can provide a space where you wake up. So, because you know what? Because you're waking up, so you can provide a space so I can wake up. That's the key. Do you see? You have the key to my awakening, and I have the key to yours. But by preparing a place for you, you bring me my key. That's how it works. So let's find out who has your key. There's intimate relation. It's your key of your fully awakening to your Christ, your fully anointed self. In the Course of Miracles says it's through others giving you the key that anoints, that opens what you are to do in the world, and through that empowerment, we create what is ours to do in the world. The Christ in you, the anointed thing that you are supposed to do in the world. Sounds fun? It's worth doing, right? Surely it's worth doing, right? Especially if you've got friends and family and friends that you want to go with you, that are heading in the direction of you. Some of us around here have been going in this same direction for a while, haven't we? We've known each other for quite a while. It's good to be here. It's good to have friends. It's good to be us. Or I love us, as we've known to say. So let's get this started. Oh, before I do, I wanted this. The Course of Miracles follows the text, right? So if you
mean the workbook?
The workbook the text follows the workbook.
Okay.
Text follows the workbook. So if you're reading, we're such good Course of Miracles students around here, and that's why we recorded this show, because I knew you didn't want to miss a single one, because you're diligently reading 12.8 pages a week, right? So in this 12.8 pages a week, there's this section, and it corresponds to what lessons we're doing in the workbook. Did you know we started a new section called "What is the Christ?"
in the workbook?
In the workbook, and this is what she says in the workbook. So it follows along. So these are the themes of intimacy that the Course in Miracles is trying to get us to understand by talking about specialness. So we
okay. So this is in the workbook. It's
section 6.
It's section 6, but it's right after today's lesson 270, which is I will not use the body's eyes today, which today is Wednesday. So the next thing after today's lesson is section 6, what is the Christ? And it says, what part do you want to share?
Just the first,
okay,
just the first part we did, the first two sentences.
Okay. Christ is God's Son as he created him.
He is the self, capital S, we share, uniting us with one another and with God as well.
It's so
That's
cool.
great. Christ is
Uniting-
God's Son as he created him. He is the self we share, uniting us with one another and with God as well.
So when she says
Exactly.
Christ,
Mhm.
that's what A Course in Miracles says.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever we have in our mind, whatever associations we have in our minds, when A Course in Miracles says Christ, they're saying this we that we share as the created. And if you're a good Hindu, you'd call that Narayan.
Oh, cool.
And so 271 is Christ is the vision I will use today. So from that perspective, from the perspective that I am one, I'm everything. I'm one with everything, right? There's that old joke. Make me one with everything. So, but lesson 272, and that's lesson 270. Is this Saturday?
This would be Friday.
Friday. Okay. How can illusions satisfy God's Son? And that's what we do in the beginning. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Here is life. Herein lies the peace of God. Illusions don't satisfy. You don't want to participate in them because they don't satisfy. Not because they're wrong or bad or you're doing it wrong. They don't fill you up. They don't do it for you. Keep going. 273.
So for Saturday, lesson 273 is beautiful. The stillness of the peace of God is mine.
So this is the result of this perspective. If you're seeing, and nobody, if you're living in a world in which your perspective is we're all one and no one loses and everybody gains, and all my decisions are based on everyone winning and we're all okay and nobody has anything to prove or means testing everything, what would happen? Oh gosh, the stillness of the peace of God would be mine.
And this is such a great lesson. It goes, the first two lines I want to share with you. It says, perhaps we are now ready for a day of undisturbed tranquility.
She says perhaps.
Perhaps. And also, if this is not yet feasible, we are content and even more than satisfied to learn how such a day can be achieved. I love that.
Stillness and peace.
In gentleness, very gentleness. In the stillness, there is hope. It lights the way as I travel far.
Right. So hope is in here too. Hope is with hope. Others bring us hope, right? We see hope in others often before we see it in ourselves. We see love in others before we see it ourselves. We see possibilities in others before we see them in ourselves. Oh, you could do that. I could never do that. Oh, you could do that. Right? You see this now, right? So let's keep on. The treachery of specialness. And the key, the idea is this idea of a key. So here we go.
Okay, so we're in the text now, chapter 24 and section 3. Chapter 24 is called the goal of specialness. Section 3 is called the treachery of specialness. And it starts like this. Specialness always makes comparisons. It is established by a lack seen in another and maintained by searching for and keeping clear in sight all lacks it can perceive. That is truly the way it works for me. This does it seek, and this it looks upon. Pursuit of specialness is always at the cost of peace. You have a function in salvation. Its pursuit will bring you joy, but the pursuit of specialness must bring you pain. To value specialness is to esteem an alien will, to which illusions of yourself are dearer than the truth. Specialness is the idea of sin made real. They closed their specialness inside of heaven and instead of peace, and wrapped it carefully in sin to keep it safe from truth.
Okay, specialness.
Drama.
Specialness is the cost for peace. You know people who have got to be the main character
All the time.
that won't do anything with you if they can't be the main character.
All the
Maybe
time.
you have been that person in the past. You know,
Maybe.
we've all done that, right?
Perhaps.
So specialness at the cost of peace. So this is the way she describes specialness. This is why this is why I love the literature of A Course in Miracles. It establishes lack in another and keeps it there. Keeps it there. I saw it, and you're never going to live it down either. It diminishes. She goes, and seeing specialness and engaging in this paradigm of specialness diminishes you and all beings that participate in it. It just brings suffering and pain. We can see that. You never see anybody clearly. Treat people like they don't exist. And she calls this is alien.
An alien will
is more valuable than reality. What somebody else thinks is more valuable than reality. Alien, that's kind of the way she uses alien, like an imaginary belief that you have to conjure out of thin air, an alien. She calls this sin made real. Sin made real. So it's real. It's real. I see it there. You're awful. I saw what you did. Now you're awful. And she goes, wrapped you in sin, wrapped you in this bad thing, bad human, called you in a bad human. And she calls specialness. I love this way she calls specialness. She calls specialness an evil flower. An evil flower.
Wow. That's bringing up some
bullying,
evil flowers.
Bullying is like an evil flower, right? You're making somebody wrong, and then you're attacking them. You become an evil flower, right? When you engage in specialness. Interesting way to think about it. She says, this is opposed to seeing clearly, which you can do, which you know how to do. We're on chapter 23. We're learning about when we don't now. More than learning how we do. And then we says, oh, yeah, these are how I misinterpret my relationships. If we're seeing clearly, we see each other and ourselves as tall and stately. It's interesting. Tall and stately, clean and honest, pure and unsullied, and peace and we exist in peace in heaven. We're looking at peace in heaven. That's what we see, the material world. We see peace in heaven. And all of you are tall, stately, clean, honest, pure, and unsullied. That'd be a nice. That's your. Does that describe your friend group currently?
Yes.
Yes. Right. That describes. Here we have. These are my friends, tall, stately, clean, and honest, pure, and unsullied, and peace in heaven. Right here. So the reminders here are. She makes a couple of reminders that at the very end of the paragraph, these first two paragraphs, that you have a function in salvation, and it doesn't require somebody else approving or liking you or anything, or engaging in specialness, or being the top, or winning, or make any of it, or that your body is in a certain shape or anything. You have a function in salvation, in the salvation of the world, in the forgiveness of the world, in the function of the world as a presence and expression of the love of God. Pursuing that holy function will bring you joy. Let's do that. And how can I help you do that? Instead of battling for who's oh gosh, the social construct of the best human. And the reminder is that you love the oneness. And you love the oneness that created you as one. And you love working with other people and laughing, and other people make your life worth living. And the whole world and the oneness actually is the joy that you seek. So how do we use specialness? How do we think about specialness? So she's going to tell us a little bit how to recognize it in our own life, in our own thinking about our own ways of problem solving. So keep going. Paragraph 4.
Okay. How's everybody doing in here?
Good,
yeah?
bro. Good.
Okay, cool. All right, so paragraph 4. You are not special. If you think you are and would defend your specialness against the truth of what you really are, how can you know the truth? What answer that the Holy Spirit gives can reach you when it is your specialness to which you listen and which asks and answers.
Asks and answers.
Yeah, specialness asks and answers. You can defend your specialness, but never will you hear the voice for God beside it. The special messages the special hear convince them they are different and apart, each in his special sins and safe from love. which does not see his specialness at all.
Safe from loving, safe from being known. You
Yeah.
can feel that, right? Safe from people knowing what kind of human I am because I don't think I do it right. That's the defense of specialness. What world do you want to live in? What world do we want to live in? That's a real serious question. What relationships do you want to have? Do you want to find out what reality is, or do you want to be managing who said, she said, what, and who's, and all this other stuff? And that's, people do. People do. If you've ever been in junior high school, you know that people do. So how are we going to approach our intimate relationships? How are we going to approach people that we really do care about, or that we kind of really do need stuff from, like in our jobs and stuff like that? People we see all the time and are intimate and familiar with. How are we going to manage those relationships honestly and and in the present moment, and not rely on and not get caught up in all the social structures that we've learned that don't actually work? Can we understand and work from a different foundation than the social constructs that we grew up that have caused us so much suffering? Could we look at specialness? Could we look at a way of managing that differently? Of course, Miracles says you certainly can. You can live in reality. You can do this because we're one. The specialness is a defense against this part of you that doesn't think you want to be known. It's a good idea to be known. It's a good idea for others to know. It's intimate. To be intimate with others. It really can be very, very difficult because we don't like the human we are. And she goes, oh, please. That's the specialness that we need to get over.
Yeah.
Keep going. Paragraph 6.
This is the only cost of truth. You will no longer see what never was, nor hear what makes no sound.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Right. You who have chained your Savior to your specialness and given it his place, remember this. He, capital H, has not lost the power to forgive you all the sins you think you place between him and the function of salvation given him for you. Nor will you change his function any more than you can change the truth in him and in yourself.
She's snapping her fingers a little bit at us. You're not. You can't change. You can't change me,
and you can't change God. Let not the dream of specialness remain between you. What is one is joined in truth. What is one is joined
she
in
calls
truth.
that correct perception.
Yeah.
Joined in truth. Oh, we're all one and everything like that. What decision would you make if you knew that? If we acted on that, if that was the foundation of our intimate actions? She calls this correct perception, and she describes it as having shining radiance. And here's the best part. I think the best part. This is the tap into the creative function. When you're with others and you get jazzed about something and you're working in your collaboration, the thing that's creative in you gets pulled from another and seen in another way. And then you're pulling from them and creating something that you can't create by yourself. See? That's creation. Creation isn't me creating this thing. Creating is only thing that real is created is when the wholeness creates it. Not me forcing into an action the condition of a form, which is what the world tells you creation is. The maintenance or condition of a form.
Yeah.
That's not what A Course in Miracles says creation is. Creation, for A Course in Miracles, is the expansion of the experience of the love of God.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Which is your natural intention, which is what you are. So it's like what we're doing. So not being intimate is saying, I don't trust you. Now, that doesn't mean oversharing, which I'm very guilty of, being ADD and, on the spectrum and everything like that. Oversharing is a coping mechanism for me, right? Has been a survival skill for me. So I'm not talking about
I
oversharing.
don't think you're alone with that, though.
That's
I
true.
don't think it's not uncommon.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people overshare
Yeah.
as a coping mechanism
Yeah.
to relax, to connect, to soothe. It just becomes part of you.
But that's a request for intimacy.
Mm.
That oversharing, that being friends very, very, very quickly is a request for intimacy, right? It's a request often for somebody to validate what I think about myself. And that can be good and bad, right? Because all of us have surrounded ourselves with people who were good for us and people that were less than that. On purpose, as a pattern. Those are intimate relationships. And it's how we thought about ourselves when we were operating with everybody wins. I'm in the oneness. This is together. Every day is togetherness time. I'm never alone and friendless. Operating from that perspective changes the way in which we're perceived, the actions we come across, the people that are attracted to us. Because that's why she says, "Oh yeah, it's like people see you as radiant brilliance." You know, and that's how you begin to see other people in the world. You like say, "Oh, look at that person just being themselves. They're so radiant," and not trying to gather attention, not looking who's looking at me, who's the thing, or not say, those people. They're walking through life, and you just go, "Oh my God, does this woman know how beautiful she is?" You know, and it isn't because she's beautiful in some kind of conventional way. It's she's glowing, she's radiant, right? Pregnant women are beautiful because they're glowing, not because they're shaped in this weird way, carrying around all this bump in the front. It's the radiance. So what are we seeing with? What are the intimate ways in which we see with? What do we call an intimate relationship? How do we manage our intimate relationships? And look at them for awakening and not for getting and acquiring or hiding or managing information. So I'm not hurt. Or, because we have a function and everybody's here to help us with that function, believe it or not. That's the perspective that we need to get to. So that's correct perception. The reminder is you cannot change the function of yourself or another person. That's why it's important that you find out what you're supposed to do and support others in what they're supposed to do and not tell other people what their jobs are. I'm also guilty of at times. Offering release is the release. You can be yourself around.
Say that again.
Offering release for others to be a certain way and to be a certain human and to be good humans according to whatever criteria we're operating in the paradigm of our intimate relationship. To that release of them is the key, because then they're able to give us the same thing, and that's what we're looking for. We give the ability to be ourselves by giving the ability to be yourself. Do you see? I give the ability to be myself away by being myself.
Oh, okay.
I get the ability to be myself by giving away the ability of you to be however you are.
You mean you allow people to be themselves so you can be yourself?
Yes. But it isn't so that I can be myself. I am myself because I am living in a you're okay, I'm okay place. I'm not in a transaction.
Okay.
I'm not in a transactional relationship. I'm not doing it to be okay. I'm doing it and because I'm okay.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? And before, I'm not okay because I got to manage you. Or manage me. I'm trying to not to manage you. I'm trying to not to manage me. I want to be in the present where love and creation is happening, That's where I want to be. I don't want to be in who's I don't know, more popular or
Who's
better
doing what to
looking
whom?
or thinner or who did what to whom or I don't know whatever criteria that we're keeping score with on how or what. I don't know.
I think the key of what you just said, the key is not being transactional. You know, it's not about if I be nice to you, then you should be nice to me. It's not transactional.
And our full authenticity blooms by giving permission to others to be themselves. So, keep going here, sweetie. I'm probably talking right into the next thing. Probably talking right into the next concept.
Okay, paragraph 8. Think of the loveliness that you will see within yourself when you have looked on him as on a friend.
Yep.
He, capital H, is the enemy of specialness, but only friend to what is real in you. Let him forgive you all your specialness and make you whole in mind and one with him. He waits for your forgiveness only that he may return it to you.
See, it's what the point I'm trying to make, and it happens. She says it in the next paragraph. I should probably just read the next paragraph.
Your brother's specialness and yours are enemies and bound in hate to kill each other and deny they are the same. Yet it is not illusions that have reached this final obstacle, which seems to make God and his heaven so remote that they cannot be reached. Here, in this holy place, does truth stand waiting to receive you and your brother in silent blessing and in peace so real and so encompassing that nothing stands outside. Leave all illusions of yourself outside this place to which you come in hope and honesty.
Hope and honesty. There it is. Hope and honesty. See, that hope, that's like, I hope, and I'm going to believe without intellectual, like, human knowledge that everything's okay. And that, we're one. I'm going to believe it. I'm going to act like it. And that honesty, I'm going to really be myself. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to be Glen as much as just me, as best as I can do, without anything else added. That's honest, right? And I'm going to hope. I know, it sounds kind of hokey, doesn't it?
No, it sounds wonderful.
I'm going to hope a little and lean into the hope that allows me to be honest and take those chances that Course in Miracles says, it's reality. You can rely on this. So, enemies and specialists. The reminder here is that we cannot destroy ourselves or other people, and that's kind of like, oh, no, we're not going to be destroyed. We don't want to actually destroy other people. So it wants to destroy others and is the same thing that we want to destroy in ourselves. Being a bad human. So heaven, in this paragraph, she makes it very clear that heaven isn't a remote place. That heaven isn't out there. That heaven isn't, something that you don't want to or can't experience. And she puts this inside of the Course in Miracles talks about intimacy. The door to intimacy, this door to heaven, this door to this present moment, often it is with a very, very few people first that know us before we can really be ourselves around lots
In
of
12 step, they say intimacy, into me you see.
Into me you see. Beautiful.
Oh.
And intimacy is into you when into me you see, when I show you my vulnerable true side, that's when I'm becoming intimate with you. Kind of.
Wow, that's cool.
That's healing. It means that I'm not defined by what I think makes me a good human or a bad human. I'm doing it right or well or poorly. To pull back that transactional, to pull back that means testing of who deserves it. Remember we asked that about last week. It's like who's wrong and who deserves punishment, and who's going to be punished, and and what's the punishment? Remember that. This is to recognize that a lot of this comes out of managing intimacy, managing our intimate relationships, and betrayals in intimate relationships, because we're operating out of specialness and not operating out of the love of God, which is, as Ramsey points out, transactional. Not to make it transactional. We cannot destroy ourselves and others. Heaven isn't a remote place. The truth is standing silent in this place. Did you hear that where two are gathered? She kind of implied that's like it is in this place together. We all over the place, and that's the way the Bible often says. That the way I grew up hearing it is where two are gathered,
where two or more are
two or more are gathered.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these things we know when we understand and we can apply them. Where two or more are gathered, when you are at the deli. You're at
That's
the
true.
checkout stand, or
It's holy at the deli, y'all.
You're in traffic.
It's holy in
about
traffic. Holy place.
The truth is standing silent in this holy place. So the key is to forgive yourself and others, right? Of the sin of being a bad human, of getting it wrong, and leave all the illusions of yourself outside of the present moment. Well, that's always true. You can't take your illusions into the present moment, because the present moment doesn't have any illusions, because the present moment is the love of God in us and all that exists, all that is real. So we leave our illusions actually outside of the present moment. So the deal is, again, to make good decisions and make it from the foundation of this Christ's perspective, right? The Narayan perspective. The method is hope and honesty. And the result is peace is real. That's what she says. Peace is real. Oh my God. With other people, isn't it really? I'm telling you, other people make peace real? Does that even sound remotely true? Other people make peace real? Have you ever heard hell is other people?
Hell
is other people? The Course in Miracles is saying heaven is other people.
Oh. Yeah.
What if heaven are other people?
Heaven is other people.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
Okay. Heaven, of course, Miracles also calls this present moment. She also says in the Course of Miracles, she also parallels the holy relationship and the holy instant.
Mm-hmm.
We are the holy instant. We are the holy relationship. Our relationship, the reality of the love of God, is the present moment. It's a way of talking about it intersecting in two different ways. You know, you can talk to this, and the way, and that intersection, you can talk about that creating the material world that we experience with flesh as separate, because we're fractured apart. Looks that way. It's not the truth. That's what she calls it. It's an illusion. Heaven is here and now, and it is the moment. And in the moment, and the felt sense of it is, I'm not alone and friendless. The felt sense of being present is, I'm not a single whatever. I'm all. I'm complete. I'm whole. There's nothing to add or missing. And the completeness is in all things. That's what makes us family. That's what makes us more than family. That's what makes us coordinated thoughts in the mind of God. Because we can, and like I like to say, and the Course doesn't come out and say this directly, but I think it's art. Because it doesn't have to be. You know what means doesn't have to be? Love. We're loved and have the experience of love and get to do all of this just because we can. That's amazing. Consciousness, awareness. None None of it has to be. I think it's marvelous. The request is to provide a space for hope for others. So that's hope and peace is a platform that we have the perspective of Christ with. But let's get to 10 through 14. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go wrap
Here
this
we
up.
go. Here is your Savior from your specialness. He is in need of your acceptance of himself as part of you, as you for his. God is not special. Wow. Wow. I say wow again. God is not special, for he would not keep one part of what he is unto himself, not given to his Son, but kept for him alone. God gave himself to you and your brother in equal love, that both might share the universe with him.
Read that again.
God gave himself to you and your brother in equal love, that both might
Share.
that both might share the universe with him. The universe. You are your brothers. Part of love was not denied to him. God's love gave you to him and him to you, because he gave himself.
Wow. Didn't we have that? See, that's kind of that's the responsibility of intimacy, isn't it?
Mm.
And this is really about the acceptance of what and who we are, and the web of intimacy we have in our lives. The correct perception is that we are possessed of everything. You know why? Because I'm connected to everything, and I know somebody who has everything, right? Because I am everything. Possessed of everything. I am possessed of everything. Of course I am. I share the universe with everything as everything. That's the concept I call togetherness. Because I don't do it without you. You have to be here. Love can't be divided, she says. Love can't be divided. God didn't divide himself or keep a little bit just for himself that's not sharing with you. God's going, all y'all are great, but I'm going to keep this little bit just for me. That's ridiculous.
Mm.
And doesn't this sound like a marriage?
Oh, yeah.
God has given, your brother has given you as you've been given to your brother. Doesn't that sound like wedding vows or like marriage vows?
It does, doesn't it?
I give myself to you and you give yourself to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's very intimate stuff. You know.
Definitely.
Keep going, Troll.
Okay. These are the last two paragraphs, I think.
Almost. Last three.
Specialness is the seal of treachery upon the gift of love. Specialness is the seal of treachery upon the gift of love.
Seal of treachery.
Whatever serves its purpose must be given to kill. No gift that bears its seal but offers treachery to giver and receiver. The hope of specialness makes it seem possible God made the body as the prison house that keeps his Son from him. Nothing is sacred here but unto you and you alone. Here are the gates of hell you closed upon yourself to rule in madness and in loneliness your special kingdom.
The special kingdom. You knew there was a kingdom in here. You knew there was going to be a kingdom in here. Specialness and the body. The body is the special kingdom. The body is a substitute for love, right? We learned this. That's the fifth law of chaos.
Yeah.
Making it sacred and full of meaning. It keeps conflicts everlasting, right? Because you're trying to stop something from being what it is, a learning device, and not you. This specialness is treachery. This body is there going to betray you over and over and over again if you don't use it correctly. If you think you're special because your body,
Right.
or people you want this, that, or the other thing because of its body, that's materialism. Specialness is a treachery because it sees things as cut off, desirable, and create hierarchies and all kinds of stuff to get it. And then you're not being a very good human. So Anyway, paragraph 14. She's going to read the whole thing because this is another like really great setup here. We're almost done, and I want to hear your thoughts.
The key you threw away, God gave your brother, whose holy hands would offer it to you when you were ready to accept his plan for your salvation in the place of yours. How could this readiness be reached save through the sight of all your misery and the awareness that your plan has failed and will forever fail to bring you peace and joy of any kind? Through this despair you travel now, yet it is but illusion of despair.
See?
The death of specialness is not your death, but your awakening into life eternal. You but emerge from an illusion of what you are to the acceptance of yourself as God created you.
As God created me. So this is the key. The key is to accept the plan for salvation. Notice the plan for salvation is to like operate. It's really practice forgiveness. Forgiveness is like stop making yourself like a bad person or wrong, or sucks to be you because you're not a very good human according to you. That's the deal. The acceptance of the plan of salvation is forgiveness. Forgiveness of yourself for whatever that you're not. And look at reality, because that is actually what is going to satisfy you. The method here, and she's very clear about it, to look at your misery, to look at your own failed plans, to look at what you think is going to work, and be honest with yourself, right? Honesty and hope. And you'll see the death of your own specialness, and you'll probably laugh, because I know I do when I find myself acting out of my own specialness. I cry a little, maybe I lose my mind sometimes when I find myself operating my own specialness, because I'm watching that part of me die. That part of I believe is going to make things better by the investment I've made in the social construct, my specialness. The promise is, she makes a promise. She says, you will emerge from this illusion. If you keep doing this, you will emerge. You might not emerge today, you might not emerge tomorrow, but you keep operating from these and taking this action in your life, and you will emerge from this illusion of specialness. And you won't be able to, and you won't operate on it ever again. Good news. So, this is what I wrote. Specialness is the cost of peace. You are not special. Neither is God. Comparing ourselves to other beings is a useless exercise in separation. We are not in competition for what is ours. We are in the business of being present to ourselves as all there is. It can be very difficult to look at the big and painful mistakes of our lives. But isn't that easier to do with others? This is very intimate work. The Course is asking us to give up our desire to stand out and to win and to get and to have and to start to share. The greatest gift we can give the world is our own authenticity and the space for others to express theirs. That permission is a group activity. Our authenticity is a group experience with group permissions and collaboration. When we give ourselves permission to love and be loved, we expand the experience of intimacy and therefore reality. And so that's what I say. I'm Reverend Glen Ganaway. I'm your favorite anarchist preacher. And this is the love of my life, the Reverend Yolanda. And I'm here to remind you to always listen to the voice that likes you. She will tell you that we are one, and she will tell you how to act like it. And